Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's what time is it? I don't even know. I'm mid-December. I'm just basically buggered. I have no idea what day of the time. I don't even know what video I'm doing I've got no clue. No, I do know. It's Sunday, it's 9 o'clock. Welcome back to Magic TV. This is what happens in December. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I'm going from one gig to another. Welcome back to Magic TV. It's 9 o'clock, it's Sunday. This is a review show special. Hope you're all well. What's a review show special? Well, a review show special, very simply, is where I review and go into a deep dive on a particular product, a particular creator, and I talk in depth about that particular product. So compared to the Craig and Ryland review show, this is kind of more centered on one particular trick. And today, I'm going to be talking about one of the greatest creators of all time, a man who is an absolute legend, someone who I consider to be a genius in every single stretch of the imagination. We're talking about Angelo Carbone. Now, Angelo Carbone has been one of the top creators in this industry for as long back as I can remember. 2023 was a banner year for Angelo. He brought out the End book test with Murphy's Magic, which was so well received. He brought out Demi Deck, which a lot of people had as their trick of the year. It's a phenomenal trick. He brought out the Card Castle trick. I can't remember the name of it, On Edge, which is just brilliant, and it's made its way into so many people's shows. And then nothing through 2024, and right at the end of the year, right at Black Friday, he's back with a brand new product, and that is Notion in Motion. I say a brand new product, it's not a brand new product, it's actually a very old product. I had Notion in Motion many, many years ago, and I remember buying it from Angelo at a convention, being completely blown away. He performed it for me at the booth. I had no idea how much, how it was done. I spent a small fortune on it, and I was very, very happy with it. And unfortunately, one day, I lost it, and they were made by hand at the time, and he wasn't making any more, and I was absolutely gutted. Fast forward all these years, Vanishing Ink have taken it and have bought it back out, which is amazing, because now an entire new generation of magicians get to experience Angelo's geniusness. Is that a word? Maybe. So what is Notion in Motion? Well, the best thing to do is for you to see the trailer. So I'm going to play the trailer for you now. You're going to see a trailer for Notion in Motion. And get a rough idea of what it is, and then we're going to break down exactly what it is. We're going to talk about the pros, we're going to talk about the cons, we're going to talk about everything. This is the trailer for Notion in Motion.
So here is the deck of cards, bicycle deck. The cards are in numeric order and haven't been shuffled at all. Why don't you now ask someone to think of a card or name of a card?
There's 52 cards in here. Do you want a black card or red card?
Black cards.
Black card. On black cards, we have spades and clubs.
Yep.
Do you want a spade or do you want a club?
I would like a spade.
A spade. And which spade would you like?
Two of spades.
Two of spades, okay. Something's happening at the top.
Yeah. That is my two of spades.
It's the other way around.
That is ridiculous.
The Rising card is one of the most magical and impressive effects of all time. And there's one version of the Rising cards that stands head and shoulders above all the rest. I know because I performed this version in my show 6 Impossible Things for 2 years, every night in New York City. It's called Notion of Motion, and it was created by one of the all-time great magic inventors, Angelo Carbone. So, what makes it so special, so clever, so unique? This is an any-named card rise. That's right. They name any card in a deck of 52, and you cause it to rise right out of the box. Here's how it looks. You hold a box of cards in your hand and they name any card, no force, no equivocation. And that card that they name rises right out of the box. I know all magic trailers like to hype up their tricks, but I am here to tell you as somebody who has used this piece for years, this is miracle level material. This has an impact unlike almost any card trick you are likely to find. For years, Notion of Motion held mythical level status. It's the kind of trick lots and lots of people talked about. They heard about this amazing mythical trick, but very few ever saw it performed. Even fewer were lucky enough to know the secret. That was, in part, because they were so rare and expensive. But today, all of that changes. Angelo used to have to make each one painstakingly by hand. We've worked for the last 5 years with Angelo to make this iconic trick accessible at a whole new, much lower price point. But anybody who knows Angelo Carbone knows he's uncompromising when it comes to the quality of his projects. That's why each deck has been made to his exacting standards. We haven't just reproduced this trick, we've improved it. The gimmick is better than it's ever been before. And for this new edition, we've added extra features as well. This includes a new secret device that makes the effect more portable and more practical than it's ever been. You are going to love this little wrinkle. Let's reflect on this one more time. This is an any named card rise that doesn't use any threads, any magnets, or any electronics. Notion of Motion is one of those rare tricks where the method is as exciting as the trick itself. It truly is a work of art. And now you have a chance to own one of the most astounding card tricks ever invented.
So, what it is, basically, it's a rising card, right? But describing this as a rising card is like saying to somebody, that Ferrari over there, it's a car. Yes, it is a car, but it's kind of special. Just like Notion in Motion is kind of special. Now, rising card has been around for a long time. Angelo is not the first person to do a rising card. Angelo's not the first person to do a thought of rising card. There have been so many different versions of rising card, and I've talked about rising card on this channel many, many times in the past. Rising card is a great plot. You don't see as many people doing it these days as you do back in the day, but it's a great plot. It's absolutely mind-blowing. When Faye Presto, one of the greatest close-up magicians of all time, went on Wogan, what's the trick that she decided to do when she was under that much pressure? She did a rising card. And why did she do a rising card? Because rising card is a super visual trick. It gets everybody involved. So what makes Notion in Motion different to other rising cards? Well, first of all, the big difference, the big massive difference is that it is a thought of rising card. And it's not just a pretend thought of rising card. It is a genuinely thought of rising card. Or I say thought of, it's a named rising card. We'll get into thought of card later. So in other words, somebody can name any card. There is no force. There is no stipulation. The way that Angelo does it, he has someone name a colour, he has someone name a suit, he has someone name a value, and then that card rises out of the deck. That's Notion in Motion. You have someone name a card, they name a card, it rises out of the deck. It rises out of a boxed deck. Now what's really cool about this is, first of all, you can take, and just to point this out, you can take the cards out of the case. You can spread the cards out and show they're in new deck order. You can show the inside of the case. You can put the cards into the case, and the second you put the cards into the case, they're set. Now, if you don't want to take the cards out, you don't have to. You could literally take the cards out, take your box out your pocket, show it all the way around, hold it, and you can get someone to name a card and it'll rise out. Absolutely not a problem. That's fine. However, you can do it by taking the cards out of the case first. It's completely up to you. And one of the things that you learn from the tutorial is there's lots of different ways of actually achieving this. Now, in terms of, let's talk about, is the effect practical? Is it a commercial trick? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Now, there are things that you need to be aware of. There are certain things that you need to be aware of. And the first thing that you need to be aware of is, without giving the game away too much, it is not completely self-contained. So don't think that you need the box and that's it. You are going to need one other thing. Now that is supplied, everything is supplied, the choreography and everything is got into, but from a pocket space point of view, there is something else you need as well as the deck. Second of all, the card box and the deck cannot be examined at any point. At the beginning, at the end, in the middle, nothing can be examined. Now, it's not really too much of an issue, really. We've talked about examinability on this channel before, because the way you display the cards at the very beginning is so free. Because it's such a free display of the deck of cards, you don't necessarily need to actually, you don't actually need to make a big deal of the cards not being examined. Because of the freedom of showing the cards at the beginning, if that kind of makes sense. But you can't have the cards examined at all. Now, you could argue that when that card rises up out the deck and then you push it back in, somebody's going to want to examine the cards. Potentially. And if that's an issue to you, then that's something that you need to deal with. Wayne Dobson has posted about this an awful lot on Facebook recently, and he said, hey, this examinability thing is not a problem. You know, you shouldn't be worried about things being examined. You perform the trick, you put it away, you move on to something else. And I agree with Wayne pretty much to a point. I do think it very much depends on the environment. Most environments that you do this, I don't think people are going to want to examine it at all. If you were doing this in a one-on-one, maybe not, don't know. But I wouldn't perform this in a one-on-one anyway. For me, this is the perfect banquet trick, where you're performing to a big table. This is a perfect parlour trick. I wouldn't do this in a one-on-one. So the next thing you need to be aware of is when the card rises out the deck, you can't take it out and show it. You could, if you wanted to, have it slowly go back into the deck, and that's how Joshua J does it. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But you can't have it rise and then have it taken out and show it. That's not how this works. You have them name the card rises out, you then take the card, you push it back in the box. Okay. From an angles point of view, when you're showing the deck at the beginning, the angles are perfect. Realistically, when you're actually doing the rise, they need to be in front of you or angled to the front. If they're at the side and they can see behind the box, they're going to see what's going on. If they're behind you, your back is covering everything, but if they're behind you, you need to be careful, obviously, because if they look at you, they're going to see how the trick's done. So realistically, the audience needs to be in front of you, which is why I'm saying for a parlour show, this is great. For a stage show, this is great. For a bar performer, this is great. For a restaurant performer, where you've got a static audience sit down, that's pretty good, I think, as well. For a banquet table where you're standing up and you can take a step back so everyone's looking at you like that, I think this is a pretty good trick as well. I think this works really well. But you need to be aware of the angles. There are angles that you need to take into consideration. However, you can show the box all the way around. And as soon as the card has been pushed back in, the box can be casually shown all the way around again. So, which aids to the examinability side of things, right? So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's worth touching on. There's a couple of live performances by Angelo. There's a studio performance that's done at the Magic Circle in the Devant Room. And then there's another performance that's done outside on the streets from a few years ago, it seems. And Angelo explains things very, very clearly. So he talks first of all about the two-handed method. When he's talked about the two-handed method, he then talks about the one-handed method. The one-handed method is very difficult. Angelo says that that's the method that he uses, and he only uses that method. And I've seen him perform this, and I would agree. He also says that it's the best method. It looks the best, and I think from a purist's point of view, it does look better holding the deck with one hand and one hand only and having the card rise. 2 points on it though. One, it is so much more difficult. Like when I did the performance for this, I used the two-handed method because I just cannot do the one-handed method yet. I will keep practicing, but the one-handed method is a lot harder. What's nice though is the two-handed method is actually quite easy. Once you understand what you're doing and once you understand the method, you can do the two-handed method almost immediately. I think of this a little bit, by the way, like a Tobias Tostel trick, and that it's very easy to learn to do, but it will require a lot of practice to get better at it. So it's not the sort of thing that you watch the tutorial and you do immediately. You are going to need some practice at this to make it look the best it can look. But with the two-handed method, it's actually not that difficult. I think that, you know, you could do that method, and then if you wanted to aspire to do the one-handed method, you can. I will say, however, I don't think from a layman's point of view, the one-handed method adds much. I don't think anybody would watch somebody do the two-handed method flawlessly and then go, well, I was amazed that that card rose out that pack. It would have been better if he'd been holding those cards with one hand. That would have been the difference maker for me. I don't think anybody would say that. But, you know, he's got a one-handed method, he's got a two-handed method, so that's worth knowing. And then, you know, Angelo's going to give you some... the way this is shot is great. Angelo's going to give you lots of hints and tips and tricks and ways to make this easier for you. There's no memory work at all. Not really. There's no maths. There's no mental ambiguity. The external gimmick, I said you need something else as well as the deck of cards. The external gimmick, I would worry if your hands were small that you would struggle with this. So that's something to bear in mind if you've got really small hands, like your child or something. I've not had Ryland try this yet, so I don't know. It's a card trick. He's not interested. But, you know, that is something to consider. But Angelo goes through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and ultimately this is an amazing trick. Now, you also get Joshua J on the project, and Josh talks about how he's always wanted to carry this as part of the Vanishing lineup. He talks about how he's been doing this for years. You see a video of him doing it. It looks like from his 6 Impossible Things show, I think, but you see a video of him performing this live. Josh's handling is amazing. He's got a handkerchief that he uses, which does a couple of things. First of all, it justifies certain things that need justifying. It also covers, it gives him more cover, which is great because it means that when he's doing the magic, his angles are much better because of the use of the handkerchief. And he does this beautiful moment where the card falls back down into the deck afterwards, which is just really nice. Josh is going to explain how his method works and how he's changed Angelo's method to suit his own show. And that's it. It's not a very long tutorial. It's 40 minutes. It's all you need to get. It's all it needs to be. But you've got multiple live performances in there, and you've got a breakdown from both Joshua J and Angelo Carbone. Now, I will say the same thing about this trick that I said about On Edge. It's not for everybody. If you are if you're the sort of person that's looking for something for your next walk around gig, this might not be for you, because it's not going to be able to be performed in every scenario. There's certain scenarios you could do it absolutely brilliantly, as I talked about earlier on. And if you're a hobbyist or you perform socially and you have people around your house, absolutely not a problem. But for the price, you need to understand it's not the sort of thing that you're going to be able to do in every single performing situation. I will say that is a reputation maker and very possibly could win Angelo Trick of the Year again, because it is delightfully deceptive and very, very, very impressive from a point of view of, think about it from the audience's point of view. You have them name any card, and the card rises from the deck. Angelo's even going to talk to you about how you can get them to think of a card, and the card just rises out of the deck. He's got lots of different touches that he's used for years. But bearing in mind, it's not the cheapest trick in the world. I'm sure Vanishing Ink have managed to produce it far cheaper than it was originally sold at when Angelo was making them all by hand, but it's still not the cheapest trick in the world. So you need to decide whether there is a place for this in your act. Ultimately, this is an incredible... the reason it's an incredible trick. The reason I've just frozen for a minute is because as I was talking to you, I've now remembered how I used to do this all those years ago. I used to do it at the end of a multiple selection routine. So I would have a deck of cards. I'd have 5 or 6 people pick cards. I'd find the first 5 cards, and then I'd box the deck and I'd put the deck away. And I'd go, there you go, thank you very much. And they go, oh, I've still got mine. Oh, you picked a card as well. Oh, I didn't realise. Okay, and now take the cards back out, and I've switched for the Notion in Motion deck. And I go, okay, well, I've put the cards away now. I'll tell you what, just name your card. What was it? It was this. And then it rises out. So I did it at the end of a multiple selection routine. I remember that now, yes. And that, for me, covered all of the problems of examinability, because the routine that I did with the multiple selection, they were picking the cards out themselves, they were shuffling the deck, they know that the deck was normal. So it was a very subtle deck switch that I was using that would allow me to do Notion in Motion as a finale to a multiple selection routine. I remembered that now. So yes, that's probably how I'll do it. If I decide to do it, which I am, that's how I'll decide to do it. Also bear in mind that you want to get a deck protector for this deck as well. This is not the cheapest thing in the world, and the card box is very gimmicked, and the cards are very gimmicked, and if you wreck the box, you're kind of a bit screwed. So you want to make sure that you look after this stuff as well. Maybe keep it in the box it comes in, or get a card guard. Angelo talks about that on the project as well. Ultimately, this is very, very good. I'm going to give it 100%. Angelo's back, and he's back with another killer routine. How this man's brain works, I don't know, but I really hope that in many, many years to come, very, very far away from now, when Angelo passes away, I really hope they dedicate his brain to science, because honestly, I really do believe that we can learn something from this man's brain. His creativity is simply astounding. It really is. And this is another winner by Angelo Carbone. And whether you're buying this to perform in a show, you're buying this to perform socially, whatever the reason, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. 100% from me, it's a great trick, and you can get it directly from Vanishing Ink. So there you go, guys, that's another review show special in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Now, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, all you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video. Don't forget that if you want to see the Q&A from earlier today, it's up now. You can go and check it out. But thanks for everything. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I will see you soon. My name's Craig. Oh, I almost forgot. Don't forget to join the Metrics. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. www.themetrics.com. See you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.